Now, when it comes to ethics, this is a huge topic, at least it is for me. And because I attempt to do and preach and act in the best ethical way I can. But here's 4 questions, and I believe the book goes over a little bit more detail of these 4, and please make sure you read it. But here's 4 questions you should ask yourself anytime you're dealing with pricing, okay, or any aspect of business or your life for that matter. But when it comes to the revenue management portion or the pricing areas, are these actions that I am taking, are they ethical? Are the profits result from my actions ethical? Are my prices presented fairly, and are my prices perceived as fair by the customers? All of those questions you should ask yourself, and you should come up with something that you're comfortable with and your management is comfortable with. So, job responsibilities and reporting structures. Let's go through a couple of terms here. First, it's reference price, which is the price perceived by consumers to be the normal price for a product or service. We all know this. Does it pass the sniff test? Customer relations management, this is CRM, is what it is known by. This is a term that applies to a variety of processes. Most of the time it's computerized, implemented by companies to handle their direct contact with customers. This is more than likely computerized through a sophisticated software platform or some form of a database. Well, there are huge companies out there that handle all these things, as you can imagine. Now, here's some of the top brands in CRM. You have Revenate, eInsight, and Guestfolio CRM are 2 products by Sendin. You have Experience Hotel, and you have Profit Room CRM. These sometimes will sit within the sales and marketing group of your hotel. Sometimes they will sit within operations. It depends on how broadly they are using these things, but this is how you communicate to your different tiers, your different groups, and your different segments. And of course, the individual. So you can get the pricing out there, and you can get the total folio value, as we have talked about, increased, and hit those pricing goals and those revenue goals. Here's the process that you go through, and while the book states this process, and oops, I didn't align that distribution on step 4. What it does is all of these can be adjusted and should be adjusted, and they're ongoing. But it starts with step 1, you establish your prices, which are based on the results of previous prices that you've established. Now, we use star reports for these, of course. And this is, in essence, the process you would go through, where you establish the prices, you forecast demand based on some of those prices, and you manage what inventory you have. You manage how that is distributed, how that is used, what days of the week, and what that flow is over the course of a year. And then you evaluate your results, which you continue to do. And let me tell you, if I were to weigh anything here in terms of how much effort and time you spend, I would spend more time on the evaluation of the results than anything else. Look at cause and behavior. This is one of those situations where I really wish I was with you guys, because I would be happy to walk you through how I evaluate the results, financial results and operational results of hotels, restaurants, concerts, fairs, and festivals. But just suffice it to say right now that evaluation of the results is one of the most important aspects, and often the one that is most overlooked. Now, the revenue management position. Let's go through this real quick. I believe the book has several large tables that go through this, but I just abbreviated it a little bit. So you got your full service resort and hotels. The only real difference in those two is the revenue manager would be over resort activities. In other words, anywhere that has a cash register or has a charge associated with it. the revenue manager position would be over. The condo and timeshare, obviously the units and F&B, and you'll notice F&B is on all of these. So it's pretty important for revenue managers to understand the food and beverage side, which we will dedicate sometime later in the semester. I think 2 weeks, or next week maybe, on this very topic. So you go down, obviously, food and beverage. It breaks out food service and beverage service. Cruise ships, you got cabins and food and bev. Country clubs, golf clubs, tennis clubs, what have you, tea times. And F&B, meeting space for the convention centers, entertainment venues, tickets, meetings, event space, so on and so forth, casinos, guest rooms, food and beverage. They do not get into ops or gaming on this, which is where the majority of the revenues come from. However, guest rooms, food and beverage are a revenue source. And then, of course, you have theme and amusement parks, water parks, what have you. The revenue manager is responsible for tickets, food and bev, ride, and activities, other activities. In other words, like I said, anywhere where revenue is generated. Now, this is not in your text, but I'm putting it out there. The revenue manager reporting relationship. Remember that revenue management can either be a noun or a verb. And it is where it sits within the organization is dependent largely on that unique organization, what emphasis they put on it. Sometimes it is a role that is shared among multiple departments. Sometimes it is an individual that is responsible for it. And when that person is there, sometimes it's a direct reporting relationship, or it's what we call a matrix structure, which is a combination of direct and indirect reporting. You can have this position or this role sitting at the corporate level and at the property level, sometimes both, sometimes one or the other. Here's a property level example. I'm going to run through a few examples here. So this one, it reports directly to the general manager. Then you would have rooms, food and beverage, sales and marketing. So this person would be kind of another member of the executive team and provide input to the rooms, food and beverage, sales and marketing, and accounting, of course, and all the other areas that report directly to the general manager. Again, at the property level, and I just love this little dog photo, so I don't know, that's why I put it there. General manager, you have the director of sales and marketing. Sometimes this revenue management position sits right under the director of sales and marketing, reports to them. Again, at the property level, it can go down a level to where it's something of a analyst role. And this is, to be honest with you, this is exactly where I started in the casino business, as an analyst within a casino resort. But I quickly used that data and that information and my enthusiasm for data to go straight up the food chain. So it's very common. Matrix structure. Here's one where you may have a revenue manager at the corporate level reporting directly to the president or the CEO, alongside the CFO, COO, and the chief counsel, and pick any other C-suite. But they also report to the individual properties or management companies. That's quite common, to be honest with you. And here's what I would call sometimes a circular corporate level piece. The revenue manager reports both to the property level. Revenue manager reports to the CEO and the president, and has property level revenue manager folks that report to them. But that property level revenue manager also is involved in a matrix situation where they would report to their own property GM, who then in turn reports back up through ultimately to the president. So it's somewhat of a circular relationship. So you do have a influencing line here, which is pretty interesting. So that pretty much covers everything I wanted to cover for this lesson. Leave you with this quote by a guy that I love to follow, which is Richard Branson, who said, "To me, business isn't about wearing suits or pleasing shareholders. It's about being true to yourself, your ideas, and focusing on the essentials." Nothing can be further from the truth on that, and I completely agree. But don't let it fool you. Mr. Branson does know his numbers like the back of his head and the back of his hand, and he is very much in tune with revenue management. So hopefully you guys got a handle of this, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.